We have a great show lined up for you today on Retiring Well. Going to be talking about pre-retirement planning, so pay attention to that and retirement benefits to consider, along with pre-retirement annuity planning, and lastly retirement, which is like 20 to 30 years of unemployment. Not sure if you've thought of it that way. So all this and a whole lot more coming up right here, right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
I'm excited to share with you some different ideas about pre-retirement planning. Maybe the clock is ticking for you and you're looking at that knowing, okay, I'm X number of days or months or years away from retirement and what that may look like. So let's dive into a few of those. The first is paying down your debts. Ideally, walking into retirement, you want to have those different credit card debts eliminated. You know, ideally, you have the mortgage all paid for and everything. Maybe even with vehicles, if you borrowed money to buy a car. But it's not necessarily that you have to have all of those paid for, but make sure that you have it in your budget to cover those costs, but it is ideal to have those paid off. Another area that if you are looking at maybe some of those toys that you would want in retirement, maybe it's the fishing boat or the side-by-side UTV type of snowmobile or whatever it may be. Ideally, pay for those prior to retirement. Now you can go and enjoy them and not have to worry about those additional monthly costs. Another area you want to look at is saving aggressively, and so challenge yourself to set aside some additional funds into your savings account. And utilize those different retirement accounts, the 401ks, IRAs, maybe even those health savings accounts. If you have a high deductible health insurance plan, you may be able to pay for some of your qualified expenses with pre-tax dollars. So health insurance and Medicare are going to be a key area that you'll want to look into prior to getting to that retirement stage, because you want to factor in what those anticipated expenses are going to be for health insurance, as that's changed drastically here over the past decade. You'll want to look at evaluating your Social Security, and depending on your situation, that may be either a small portion or a large portion of your retirement income plan. And so you want to determine when is going to be the optimal time for you to draw that Social Security. And if you're married, then okay, you're looking at that for two of you and figuring out that plan. Ultimately, you want to develop a plan that is so key in retirement for not just your income and investments, but factor in what taxes and health insurance and your estate plan and all of those different areas. But set some different goals. What is it that you want to accomplish to get to retirement? And then in retirement, what are you going to want to do when you get to that stage? What are your estimated expenses, and what income is going to be needed to accomplish that goal? Where are you going to draw that from to again, make sure that you have a successful retirement? If you have questions on any of this, we're always happy to sit down with you for a no cost, no obligation visit.
A lot of great information there, a bunch of different topics that John covered that, sometimes people might miss as they're planning to retire. One that really sticks out in my mind is planning for health insurance. There's a lot of different aspects that go into that, and top of mind when I'm thinking about it, I just had a client come in out of the UP area, Rudyard area, and their biggest concern was, okay, I'm going to lose my employer coverage, but I still have a few months until I get onto Medicare. What do we do? And so what we did was we floated COBRA for them in that case. But there's so many different options out there, so many different ways that you can look at how to adjust your health insurance as you approach retirement. You just want to make sure you're thinking about it, because oftentimes that gets put on the back burner. And I know John went over a bunch of different topics there as well.
Yeah, I like that you're bringing up healthcare as one part of it. The ones that stood out to me were the planning part of it. You know, the best thing that we get to do is take all of the different moving parts to a holistic retirement plan, and then we get to teach. And the seventh thing there said, you know, you might need to talk to an advisor. And I always refer back to what Dave Ramsey said. He said, you know, find an advisor that has the heart of a teacher. And that's why I love to do what we get to do here. We get to come through the TV here and we get to teach. And so, you know, if you have some confusion or if it's unknown what your plan is, you know, there's a lot of moving parts to it. And as you prepare for retirement, you know, preparing the different parts and making sure they're working and they're in good order is super important. And so if you're sitting there and you're worried and you want a second piece of advice or a second look at things, you know, feel free to give us a call. We never have pressure, and we always lead with teaching. We get to meet you, we get to hear your stories. They're always unique because they're yours. And then we get to help make sure you might not be missing any of those parts to your plan. So, hey, coming up next, we're going to be talking about retirement benefits to consider and the pre-retirement and annuity planning. Stay tuned.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Hi, my name is Jack Klunder, and I am a financial advisor with Centennial Wealth Advisory. I work out of our Cadillac office, and we specialize in retirement planning. We take a very holistic approach. We can help go through all the different aspects of planning that are involved in retiring well. So if you are nearing or in retirement and you have questions that you want to go over, please give the number on the screen a call, and we can have and set up a free, no obligation consultation.
Living life isn't always easy. It puts up challenges and obstacles you'll have to overcome. There are responsibilities. You put in effort to provide and take care of your family, and to save and invest, to balance work and life. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well.
Let's talk about retirement benefits to consider. You know, now while we're working, the word benefits often means maybe paid time off or health care or something like that. But in retirement, I think of benefits as a little something different here. So let's start with the first item, and it's diversified income. Now, while you're working, you're getting a paycheck, right? And maybe you got a rental or something else that's maybe paying a little income on the side. But here in retirement, you're solely responsible for that income and where that's coming from. Now, hopefully you have Social Security. Maybe you're fortunate enough to have a pension. But then what about all these other sources or these other places to get income from? Diversifying that could be key. Now, you hear diversifying in investments and you have stocks and bonds and this mix of that. But I'm talking about the different places this income may be coming from. And that's going to be directly related to how it's taxable and then where it may be invested. So think of this. You have your Social Security. Maybe you have a pension. If you don't, not that important from this perspective. Then you have IRAs or 401ks. Every dollar you take out is taxable, right? Okay, maybe you have a Roth IRA. That's going to be tax-free income coming in. Maybe you have savings. Well, there's going to be some tax involved with that with maybe some gains and stuff like that, interest. And maybe you have an after-tax account. That might be unrealized or realized gains, dividends, interest, stuff like that kicking up. So having diversification across those different streams of potential income could be important to give you flexibility throughout the years. In your early retirement years, maybe pre-Medicare, there might be subsidies for healthcare reasons, stuff like that. And there might be tricks to use using different streams of income. Long term, maybe surviving spouse situation or later in life, having some of that tax-free income can be vital. So again, as you're building out your plan, a benefit to consider is having diversified income in the different things you're coming from. The second piece, income risk. So just as I talked about it a minute ago with where these shells of this income might be coming from, where are they invested in? When you're pulling income on a consistent basis, you don't want that income subject to massive risk. Think of times when the markets are down. Do you want to have to be relying on that to produce that income? Probably not. So again, not only from an investment perspective, but when are you going to need that money, and from an income generation standpoint, should be vitally considered how you're investing your money. We have to start thinking of your money almost like a timeline versus just a whole pot of money when we're building that out. The final benefit I'm going to leave you with here today is debt. Ideally, in retirement, if you can have that home paid off and minimize that debt as much as possible, it's less strain on that budget of outgoing funds. Again, retirement can be kind of simple when you're looking at it from a cash flow. Got to have more coming in than going out, right? Just like working. So again, as you start to think about benefits for your retirement, give us a call. We'd love to help walk through this. And if you haven't thought of these things or don't have a plan in place, there's never a better time to start that than right now.
If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
Are you nearing retirement or in retirement? Have you had your portfolio just looked at or have a second opinion on that portfolio recently? Centennial Wealth is a full-service advisory firm, and we have multiple locations in northern Michigan. I'm in the Gaylord office primarily. The office is right downtown Gaylord. Also up in the Petoskey office as well. That office is right off of 31. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to sit down and chat, and it's a free, no-obligation consultation, so just call the number on the screen.
When it comes to your financial future, what's the value of a truly objective opinion? As someone looking for financial guidance, you have choices. There are thousands of captive financial professionals who work as employees for large national insurance companies and brokerages. There are also many independent financial professionals who aren't bound to any given insurance company, investment strategy, or product. So what's the difference, and why does it really matter to you? Consider this. If you walked into a doctor's office with a sore throat, a bad cough, and a high fever, you'd expect that doctor to assess your symptoms, do a thorough diagnosis, and ultimately hand you a prescription written to cure your particular ailment. In other words, you'd expect the doctor to consider all the medications available and give you his or her absolute best thinking on what's best for you. On the other hand, if that doctor opened the cupboard and only had 3 or 4 prescriptions available, maybe those offered by his or her favorite pharmaceutical rep, most patients would immediately raise an eyebrow, suspicious that they might not be getting what was really in their best interest. The same may be true for your financial well-being. If your financial professional is an employee who's contractually bound to represent a given insurance or investment company, only offering their products while there are literally hundreds of others available, how sure can you be that you're being offered what's truly best for your situation? You don't walk into a tailor or seamstress shop to get clothing off some rack. You go for a custom-tailored fit. And with something as important as your financial future at hand, the stakes are even higher. We believe you deserve a truly objective opinion. We think you deserve to consider more of the available options. And we believe your financial future is worth a custom-tailored prescription to help you feel confident for the days ahead. If you'd like a second opinion on your current retirement strategy, simply contact our office today.
Maybe you're not yet retired and you're trying to think of, okay, when I get to retirement, what does that look like? Well, you want to be planning in advance, and you may have heard of annuities and how they may or may not play a role for you. But when we look at different annuity planning, and if you want those that don't expose you to market risk and everything, that's where you have basic fixed annuities, where it's going to be a set number of years, say 3 years, and it's going to pay a set interest rate, say 5% each year for the 3 years, and then at the end of the 3 years, that contract matures, and then you can determine at that stage what you want to do with that amount of money. You can take that lump sum and move it elsewhere, or take withdrawals, or however you want to do that. You also have fixed indexed annuities where your principal is guaranteed, and then your returns are going to be tied to some index in the market, say the S&P 500, but they're going to put some type of limitation on that. So let's say, for example, that they've set a limit of 12% is the cap. So if the S&P 500 goes up more than 12%, the most you could make for that 12-month period is 12%. But if the S&P 500 were to drop 30%, okay, you would just stay the same. Your return would be effectively 0% for that year, and then it would start over again for the next 12-month cycle. And those might be a 5-year, 7-year type of contract that you would be tied to. So, you know, there's this shift from the growth and accumulation phase of your life to more of a preservation of wealth and income. And so that's where, again, sometimes people will factor in, okay, does an annuity make sense for the overall plan? And so when you're, I'd say maybe 5 to 7 years away from retirement, and you have some uncertainty about, well, what's the market going to do in the next 5 to 7 years? And well, it might be nice to have some portion of the portfolio that I know I can count on. Well, that might be where, again, those types of insurance products may play a role. So interest rates have definitely improved some of those options, as we've seen within, not just with the banks and credit unions and government bonds, but also with the insurance companies. And so those interest rates have made some of those account options a little more attractive these days. But as a retiree, you want to have a high probability for success. And so, again, perhaps having some accounts that eliminate some of those risks and everything are going to be valuable. Obviously, it's based on the claims paying ability of the insurance company, but hopefully you're finding a strong company to work with. So again, that's something here at our firm that we're happy to sit down with you, talk through what your retirement plans are, and help you plan to retire well.
When should you go start your planning? You know, I think that it's never too soon. I guess maybe 27, 28 is when your prefrontal cortex apparently is fully developed, and you can get those long-term planning part of your brain working in full steam. So maybe that's a good age. But you know, I recently in the Cadillac office ran across a couple that they were 45, and they just knew it was time to start figuring out a plan. They had saved up a substantial amount in their savings account. And they knew that that kind of no market risk over time was not going to be ideal for them. And so they came in, we did a really thorough review of all the different moving parts to their plan, and then we focused in on what their investment plan was going to do. And what they're choosing to do is they're gonna start taking some calculated risk, and they're gonna be doing that in different, maybe $50,000 chunks. Okay, so where we can say, hey, let's take some in a fixed, no market risk annuity. And they know exactly what they're going to get. They know contractually what it says the return is going to be. And then we just started building blocks to different levels of risk. And then we went into some of those conservative bond strategies right now, tiered in with some actively managed equity strategies. And at the end of the meeting, they were really appreciative of that. They could pinpoint where their risk was. They understood it, and they knew why they were there. And that's one of the powerful things that we get to do, is help you be able to pinpoint where and how to take calculated risk. I know, Nick, you have another part.
Yeah, I mean, planning is just so important, whether it's really starting young or even as you are really close to retirement. Maybe you haven't even thought about it yet, and you haven't developed that plan. Check it out. You got to have something in place. Prime example of this is that, you know, I've got a client that recently came in. They were over the age of 59 and a half. They were contributing to that 401k. Because of the market and everything going on right now in the world, they had almost all of their funds in their 401k just sitting in a stable value fund. They didn't realize that, hey, there's other options out there. They could do what's called an in-service rollover and open the whole investment world to them, provide some safety, but still get a better return than that stable value fund. So without planning, who knows what's going to happen. You want to have a solid plan in place. All right, coming up next, we're going to be talking about how retirement is like 20 to 30 years of unemployment.
What can Retirement Analyzer do for you? Retirement Analyzer is a software tool that can help you prepare today for your financial future. You've worked hard to save for your retirement, but as you near your retirement, you may have concerns. Have I positioned my retirement savings wisely? Have I saved enough for retirement, and will my savings last throughout my lifetime? What impact could inflation have on my future expenses? What if I suffer a long-term illness? Will I have enough money to cover my medical care expenses and still be able to meet my other financial obligations? Could changes in the income tax rates disrupt my retirement strategy? There's no need to be in the dark as you prepare for your retirement. Retirement Analyzer can help you find answers to all these questions and more. The first step is providing us with information on your financial assets, the type and current value of those assets, as well as your sources of income. Then, we work with you to identify your expected expenses in retirement. This will include a discussion of the lifestyle you envision in retirement, travel, a summer residence, whatever you dream your retirement will be. We'll input the information you provide us into the Retirement Analyzer, and in a very short time we'll have reports that show us the percentage of assets currently in high-risk vehicles as well as the percent in lower-risk products. Retirement Analyzer enables us to project your income from year to year in your retirement and see how long your retirement savings may last. As we change the conditions of the report, delaying your retirement date, including costs for long-term care, adjusting the expected tax rate, or adjusting your retirement strategies, we can see how changes in these variables may impact your income in retirement and the longevity of your retirement savings. Let the Retirement Analyzer help you test drive your retirement strategy today, because the time to discover the bumps in the road is not once your trip through retirement has begun. Contact our office today to schedule an appointment for your Retirement Analyzer review.
Now, I don't want to scare you, but think of retirement as this. It's like 20 to 30 years of unemployment. Have you ever been unemployed or laid off? You know, there's fears with that, right? Where is my income going to come from? And what am I going to do? How long is this going to last? Think of it. Retirement's the same way, right? Where is the income going to come from? How long am I going to last? You know, how long am I going to live? And so when we think about planning for retirement, there's that mindset of there, and it can be scary, and rightfully so for some people. So when you're thinking of unemployment and retirement, you know, where is that income going to come from? Well, potentially you're somebody that's paid into the Social Security system, so that's a form of income coming in, maybe kind of like unemployment, right? You know, sometimes there's a certain amount of time of that's going to happen and stuff like that. You know, where is your income going to come from to make up that difference? Are you fortunate to have a pension? Have you saved in a 401k or IRA or something similar to that maybe you need to help turn that into a paycheck? Again, think 20 to 30 years. This potentially, you know, is going to be a long time that you're going to be in this situation, so we have to plan for that. How long is this income going to last me? You know, when we're looking at these different sources, hopefully Social Security is there for your lifetime, right? Pension, hopefully that's there. But when you're building this paycheck out of the savings you have, 401k, IRA, the likes, you know, how long is that going to last? Well, for most people, you know, you want your money to last longer than you do, right? You know, you don't want your money to run out before you do. And at the same time, depending upon your situation, we have all kinds. We have some people that want to leave a great legacy, and other people, one of the funniest things I think I've heard one of our clients say is, hey, I want to bounce my final check to the funeral home. And you know, but the disadvantage to us as planners, and usually you as well as a retiree, is we don't know when that day is going to be, right? We don't know when that exactly is, so we have to plan for longevity and assuming you're going to live longer. You know, the other thing I always talk about people, and this is not financial, but when you get into retirement, we have these plans, we build all this stuff out and talk about income and investment and taxes and estate planning and long-term care planning and health insurance planning, all these various things that we help our clients with. But what are you going to do with your time in retirement? You know, that personal piece of this journey as well. So often, you know, there's this push to get to retirement, you know, maybe so you don't got to get up and hit that alarm clock every morning and punch in or whatever it may be. But what are you going to do with your time as well? You know, if you were ever unemployed, you know, you have all this time now, you know, home projects, you know, there's a lot of those that probably can happen, right? But eventually you're going to probably get those caught up. So what are you going to do? So if you're thinking about retirement and concerned that it's like 20 to 30 years on unemployment, make sure you have a financial plan. We'd love to help you on that journey so you can plan to retire well.
Great segment on something that's realistic to so many people. They get to spend 20 to 30 years of unemployment. Think of all that time. Think of all the time you get to think about what you want to do in that phase, in that season of life. One powerful tool that we have here at Centennial Wealth is an income plan technology called Retirement Analyzer. And what it will do is it will map out where your income and where your expenses might be with an inflation kicker until you're 100 years old. And what is powerful about that is you actually have in writing how you're going to make those distributions last. Which accounts are they going to be coming from? Which investments are going to be producing the outcomes needed to last that 20 to 30 years in retirement? We spend a lot of time on the very last page of that tool. And it's one screen that starts with where you currently are in your retirement and then what your legacy is. And we can calculate your physical assets right next to your financial assets. And so when you go across, you get to see your age, you get to see your contractual lifetime income sources and amounts. You get to see what you want to be spending, your lifestyle with inflation. And then you get to see what that will do with taxes taken out and years with assumed rates of growth and all the different moving parts to a plan. And then the powerful thing is, as we continue to meet with our clients, we update and life changes. We know that's the case, but being prepared and being as proactive as possible helps give our clients that piece that that plan can let them see. What do you get to see there in Gaylord?
Yeah, that's so accurate, Jack. I mean, once you have that income plan in place, the peace of mind that comes from that, I mean, I'm sitting across the table, I can see the peace of mind in my clients when they have that solid plan in place. And really what that does is it gives you a sense of peace as far as how your investments are doing in the market, because you know, okay, I'm getting my income from maybe a more less risky investment, so it's not fluctuating as much with the market. Whereas I've got this bucket of money where it's taking more risk, I'm not going to be using it for 10, 15 years down the road, so what's going on in the market now? Well, I've got time on my side for that portion of the assets. And it really gives you that peace of mind to have everything in place and have a solid income plan. Well, I hope you found today's show valuable. Please tune in next week, same time, same station. We've got a lot of great more information for you. Take care.